guys, I saw that you had the $900,000, about $1 million in additional costs. That was beyond the contingencies that you guys planned inside the pro formas.
Yes.
And so where did you guys get that capital? Did you guys go out and get another mezzanine loan, or was that something that?
Partners with checks. That's what you made 85.
Yeah, well, actually, our lender required us to take out an additional extra contingency more than what was in our pro forma. We actually borrowed more than what our total costs to finance were, and so we didn't actually, we didn't have to borrow extra money from the bank, but we did have to communicate with them when we were having the cost overruns, explain to them exactly what they were. They questioned them. Just like we had to go and explain to our partners and to the executives, we had to explain to the lender also. Why is this overrun? What is it for?
But there are times where we're just capital calling our partners. It's like, guys, the lenders tapped out, and we're all writing checks. Fortunately, we don't do that often.
Do you mind telling me what your contingency for that, the hard cost of that is?
It was in the neighborhood of $500,000. It was 5% of the construction costs.
So it's 15%.
So, but I mean, some things like, for instance, it all weighs out, which is why, we got a higher return, because, you'll have the leasing agents out here and they'll say, well, I can get a higher rent if we give extra TI. Well, I didn't budget extra TI, but then if you look at the return is going to end up, outweighing paying the extra TI. So you're like, oh, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll do that deal. Things like that. Like another big ticket item was that which I learned my lesson this time, was that once a year they raise the traffic concurrency rates. So I budgeted one amount, and then when I went to go pay them, they had gone up 30%. We actually paid like $80,000 more. We had to pay for a traffic concurrency more than what we had budgeted for. So it was we didn't like it, but it was explainable, and a lot of that's what we got.
But normally 3 to 5% of the hard cost is contingency, and it just depends how complicated the deal is. If it's a high-rise residential project, we'll take that up, sizably. When we have $2 to $4 million on the project.
Are there any more questions? I think we could just say thank you.
Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break.
Yep.
I was waiting for that photo. I was waiting. You open up on the shower there?
Hey, I want to say I apologize. Emmanuel called me. Thanks, Emmanuel. He's good at that sharpshooting, man. I'll tell you what, Emmanuel's great at sharpshooting. I turned in the presentation and he said, hey, I just wanted you to know this is not the notebook team. I'm like, dude, I just put that entire presentation together. You're going to sit here
Is the university open? Yes. Do they on the library? Oh, yes. I was in a lot of that we have some. But there were so many things. Yeah, what's this? Yeah. I was like, I gotta go get I'm looking at it.
I do the first two.
I think there are ones who don't understand. I saw you.
Either way, that could be up, that could be up on the board.
I'm sitting there going,
Well, like I said, I just changed the size of the marks there. I mean, you can
I saw this one.
So I figured I would say like I would do 12%
That Harvest textbook you heard us do, I bought it on Amazon, it just got delivered today, but I was, they sent me a text. But I was seeing a workbook associated with that, is that something I should get? I've been meaning to ask you. Thanks.
yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not doing okay, now it's like, no. Word is noise.
Yeah, I thought the one that you had. I mean, that's better.
Yeah. But like, no, this whole, I made all this on the design.
I know, but he's got
You want to put it up on the screen?
so instead of using the PDF,
Can you pull the numbers up off your? Just on the screen though?
I don't.
You don't think that'll work?
So
I don't think so.
can go run it out there myself. You just print it off or this way? Yeah, all right.
We did one today, but there's a camera around, we did a former judges, I mean, half the staff was there judging, all of them was there, it was a big presentation. 8 o'clock in the morning. Right. It was great, but yeah, this is easy.
I didn't know how much you could talk about the comps. I mean, the comps are comps.
Yeah. Where she where she doesn't say interview the other day. Oh, like who is this? And then I finally put 2 and 2 together this morning. You guys are here. You just know that? No, I don't know. I'm like oblivious.
Okay.
And then you're like, hi, Rebecca. I'm like, who is this?
So what are talking
It's like,
about?
like, I didn't know who I am.
I just wanted not to
And like, how do you know who I am? Like, hi. I'm Heidi.
I got our PowerPoint. I just needed to download. That's what's wrong. It wasn't. Thank you for letting me know. No, it's already downloaded. Right. And I've always done it. So whenever I sit down, just pull it off the internet. That's right. So he's starting.
It's very difficult. You should look, you're going to schedule a meeting.
My child was, I just keep it It keeps getting infections, and that's why it gets worse and worse. So, it's just, I've been staying up there, and I need to keep
Nice, you guys got some time to spend with them, you know.
No, I've had plenty of time. I go up there, twice a week myself, and just get the walk and stuff. But I guess we are first.
Mine's on my
So he's going to start.
Can we go third?
I did change yours. Yours was you said you so I just changed it just a little bit so that it could be more comprehensive.
I didn't know that's helpful.
Did you say we're having a group meeting? Gosh.
I'm not voting for you.
And there was like 1 or 2 things.
Oh, that's actually really good. I like to
So one of the things somebody's probably going to ask us this question
Pedestrian-oriented development, long-term project.
And the problem, and the point is, you're not going to just be able to kick bird things. I guess, I don't know, I mean, it's the 85 million.
Okay. But,
But we still need to have the resources to support it.
and that's,
So just to know.
that property is being active for redevelopment.
Right.
It's not, you're not gonna buy all that and use it to make money off the office building. They're not making that much money.
Well, I had, I didn't understand. I'm like, I'm sorry, myself.
Because we're only developing like a third of the
I was like, really?
realistically inside the backside. We could have kept that back office building for rental.
All right, folks, let's get ourselves seated.
Yes, I was gonna try to be real, but I thought, knowing you probably had. I want to move Mike where I am to see better.
Where would you like to sit?
Just more towards the center, maybe like right.
Yes, I'm sorry for us.
A little bit over.
So, I think we've elected that the Miami group will go first here. Where's Dr. Gordon?
I don't know.
So let's just wait to bring him in, and
Maybe over there.
any of these seats
Yeah.
will be fine.
Excuse me, my bad.
Give me 1 minute, and we'll start. Okay, folks?
So can I borrow that? No? Oh, no. Go ahead.
He has it in his phone. I was waiting the entire time. It did happen, thank God. But that's all.
Why? You should have been like,
This was made before. No, because he was involved. This was made before. It was supposed to be involved, and then Bob had been involved in like last minute. Yeah. Why? Well, I came here like, what are you doing?
Diana wants to know if you're gonna catch her if she forgets.
Just texting. Remember the guy Ryan?
She didn't chime in.
Remember Ryan? They were talking about both of them. So I was texting Ryan.
we can all chime in to help each other.
There's no problem. Texting pictures of Ryan to Justin. About, yeah, he's like asking ridiculous questions. Like just.
4-7 and 4-4 you text.
Oh, hey, my game's
You know, there's the Florida State
prime time, man. Prime time. 8 p.m.
We got the Florida State Miami game
Hey, man.
and it starts
Prime
at 8.
time.
So.
What's the spread?
I don't even look at that.
I usually do, but
Go have to watch it.
yeah, when
Texas, you said that was
Oh, I've almost lived.
Oh, that's real bad. Oh, wow. The rookies are
They came out with here on all fired up.
son's taking his place. So there's shifts and everything like that.
why they play the game.
No, this one, well, the other.
I did. I did. I looked at all
He's
these.
the main,
Last
there's
time.
the best crew, which is basically Rocco, all
Especially
the
around,
chief
you know,
officers,
that's
There is some.
plus
big time.
and everyone who's a president of the division is on another board. This is the actual building, so it's just all basically they're all being right. They're basically they own the building and lease it back out.
Yeah, that's our school.
And just kind of really them with the
That's
market.
kicked by me.
It's completely legal.
It is. It's great. I go every I go
We didn't even know what they could do about it.
see all your old classmates. That did. What's that? What? These projects? I think I've
They're
done.
still paying
I'm sure two. This is my second. Well, 3.
When you count real estate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll be down shortly, so. Sorry about that.
Other than the one that we didn't do any other.
There were investments, but I think, was that, I kind of did it.
Oh, that's right.
But Alyssa was part of that one too, she's really good.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, why don't we begin?
Okay.
Dr. Fortier will be down very shortly, but in the interest of time and a good presentation, you're on stage.
Hello class, my name is Alex, this is the rest of our team, Emmanuel, Chad, and introduce the rest of yourselves to Diane and Nick. Our project was 1700 Biscayne. It's a full block in just north of downtown Miami. And this is the existing site as it is. Right now there's a Burger King right here. There is a 2-story office building right here. And then this building 2221 is actually a medical office building right now. Both these properties are fully leased. Around the rents are a little different for each property. CoStar reported them differently, but we have a full block right here on Biscayne Boulevard. We have a full empty lot back here on Northeast 2nd Ave, and the rest of it is parking, as you can see right around here. General area, but this is the Biscayne corridor, the submarket. Because this property is located in such a intense market, I would say, with the amount of construction proposed buildings going up, it's a very, it's a submarket. It's usually just a few blocks. And right now it's the Biscayne corridor. You have CoStar reports it, different ones like that. But I'm gonna hand it off to Emmanuel now to do these. Also, excuse me, I'm sorry. Styles. So the Publix that Styles was talking about is right here on this corner. So they are literally right next to us. So when you use that picture, they are this right here, and this is our site. And it's 3 acres, excuse me, it's 3 acres, which is a full city block.
There's also a group of hotel clusters, the Hilton, Marriott, that are all within a block of the site.
They're over here as well. Yeah, sorry, our slide got actually cut off.
Yeah.
Sorry, I see. So,
yeah.
All right, so as you can see, our current zoning, our property is currently zoned for a commercial use. But the unique thing about our property is if you look around the area, most development projects that's happening in the area is on mixed-use property, so which will later on work in our favor for the type of project that we're trying to do. So when you zoom in on our existing property, the zoning actually changes because it's different parcels, and the different parcels were zoned for different uses. So as you can see, the office space that we have in the property was zoned for an office building. If you look in this area, it's a vacant land, so it was zoned for vacant land. And we have another office zone over there, and then you have a retail zone over there, which will come in handy when you look at zoning. If you have to change zoning, one of the most important things is to look at what's around you and what's the use the comprehensive plan talks about for the area that you are trying to change the zoning.
just go back for 1 second, I'm sorry. And this bill is actually one structure. It's split into two different parcels, but it's built as one unit, just to make things a little more complicated.
Yeah, so it's actually something interesting that we found. Like, so the office, half of the office is zoned for a multi-story building, and the other half is zoned for a 1-story building. Then once we kind of came down to the actual property, we had to look up the zoning requirements, and if we bought the whole parcel and assembled it together, right now the whole parcel assembled together is zoned under Miami 21 zoning code, which was adopted in 2013, and our property is zoned for T6, which is urban core. Urban core means that it wants density in the area. 36B means that the maximum building height is 36 stories, and then you have O, which is open space. So there's three different as of right zoning. So you have open, limited, and restricted. So this is the zoning requirements for our property and the setbacks. It's pretty much a 10-feet setback on the primary line and a 10-feet setback on the secondary line. And after we get to the 8th floor, there's a 30-feet minimum setback from anything 8th floor all the way to the 36th floor. So the cool thing about our property right now, the urban core zoning allows for us to build 150 units per acre. But with the Miami density bonus, the residential density bonus, depending on where a property is zoned, our property is zoned in Omni, which gives us an additional 500 units. So we have about 3.4 acres, so that gives us about 1,500 units that we could put on the property. Now, after doing some research, we found out that the owner that's selling the property went ahead and put in a proposal to the city to kind of, they had their own concept of what they wanted to do to the property. And they got an MUSP, which is a master use special permit. A major use special permit. So under that approved MUSP, and this MUSP is in place. They got this in 2007, and you could renew it all the way to 2021. What you could do is you could build 672 residential unit, 505 hotel keys, residential space of 977, and pretty much you could see all the numbers of what we could build, and the total building area is 1.5 million square feet under the existing owner's MUSB, or you could go based on the Miami-Dade 21 building code that's existing and get more density for 2.9 million square feet of density.
Maybe just talk about which one we decided to go with.
Oh, so for our project, after, well, they will explain the market comes, what we decided to go with was the MUSP that's already in place.
Yeah, we figured that because the owner of the property, right now it's listed for 85 million with these plans in place. I talked to the broker himself.
What number?
85 million. Yeah, I called the broker myself and talked to him. So it's being marketed, go back one slide, it's being marketed as being 100% go up until to 2021. The reason why they're asking that number is because they went through all the process themselves, took care of everything, to get everything ready to go, except it's just sitting there. You know, I know that when I'm trying to develop something, I always ask myself, why isn't anyone else doing this? You know, first thing is it's a little expensive, but we decided to go with these, to go with this a project because it's already been approved, and approving a plan could be the downfall to anything, especially in this kind of market. We felt that it was already so much easier to go with these kind of numbers, even if we had to change something around. If we kept to the actual units and the total amount of space, we were confident that we had to rework the plan itself, that we could get it passed through because this has already been approved once before. So we figured that would be a good, to use number-wise now, we'll go into explain how the market will react to these numbers, but this is what we were going for as a project. So next one, I believe, is the hotel.
Okay, so we took a look at the hotel market, and based on our zoning, we could build 319,000 square feet for the hotel, 505 keys. We felt this would be a good option for part of the property because there's a vacancy rate, there's an occupancy rate of 81% in the area, and Miami is actually ranked number 4 in the United States as far as occupancy rates. Miami is also ranked 2nd in the United States as far as room rates at $217.62 on average. Also, the RevPAR is ranked number 4 in the United States. So we felt this would be a good option for a large part of the property.
multifamily. So just to give you a little history about Miami, Miami's seen tons of growth. They added over 30,000 jobs in 2014. Average household income, employment, and population is going to rise steady 2019. For multifamily, Miami is mostly a rental market with over 67% of the market being rentals. So we decided to look more on the rentals over condos because the area is filled with condo buildings, as Bob explained earlier. There are a ton of them, and there's actually not been many rental buildings in the area. There's only one that's been constructed, and it's been there since about 2000. There's I think 2 more in the pipeline, and then 3 have been proposed and starting construction in 2016. So Miami's late to the apartment game in this area. So absorption rates have been steady. Last year, there were 916 units completed in Miami. So about 1,100 were absorbed, and the 3-year annualized history shows that 1,100 units were completed and about 1,500 were absorbed. So the absorption has been good, but we're going to see a big change in that because now we have a ton of supply coming in, and supply is going to, demand's going to lag behind supply a little bit, but it's not going to affect this tight market. Vacancy for Miami overall is at 7% for Class A properties. Our submarket reported around 3.7 vacancy with the inventory of 54 buildings, and inventory of 8,600 units. That was for condos and apartments. Our rents in this submarket were averaging around 2,200. I believe for all of Miami it was I think 15 or I think 1,100. I forget off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but it was much higher than the average rent you're going to find in Miami. So our target class for this multifamily is going to be a Class A, maybe a high-end Class B. We're going to shoot for young professionals who've been in the workforce about for 3 to 4 years, 25 to 35. People that are moving to Miami that have, acquired a new job from a bigger company. They want to, live, work, and play. We are right outside the design district and entertainment district of Miami. So, and then for our capture rate for our submarket, we're going to be adding, I believe it's 505 units, excuse me, but it's 12%. If you can see it here, but we're going to basically capture 12% of the market after our units are completed.
So let's go through those numbers again. 500 units are what are committed under the MUS.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to build was 500.
Right, and what's the 4164 from?
This is for proposed and under construction right now in the pipeline.
So that's the pipeline, and that data comes from?
This came from REE or CoStar, off the top of my head, but it's between REE and CoStar.
Okay, so
the combination. It wasn't, because there's so many proposed units and there's so many for the different submarkets, because of the way that what the property was. It's not in Edgewater. It's not in downtown. It's not in what's it called, Linwood. So to get an actual submarket was kind of tough. So these capture rates, I did the best I could for getting a pipeline in, but it was really the ones that were under construction in almost like a 2-mile radius. Almost, it was ones very close to it. Again, it was just kind of hard to get a real baseline for these numbers.
So why did you choose a 2-mile radius?
Because of where it was positioned and what was being built in that position. It was mostly the rental units were being built in that 2-mile radius. The one building that's been there since it was completed in 2000, sold for $64 million in 2004, is less than 2 blocks away. So that was really my comp for the area, was that building. It was reporting rents of 2,300, or I forget what it was off the top of my head, but I have it in the report.
How many units were in that building? You said it's over 65 million.
Well, it was about 400, I want to say. It wasn't. It was close to our number of 500. It was a good comp for our. It was about 160,000 a unit. I think it's sold from 2004. It's in the report itself.
So how do you calculate that capture rate on top of the 16.5?
That's actually a wrong number because that was my fault. It's supposed to be 12% right here. It's supposed to be this number right here. This was with 600. I confused it with something else I saw. I put 600 and something for the first amount of units we're going to have, but it was only committed to 505. I think I got it confused with the hotel. The hotel is like 670 units, I think. So it's supposed to be 12% capture rate.
Before you go into the retail then, so can this property capture 15% or 12%, excuse me, of these?
The rental market, yes. I think so, it can. Because of where it's located and where the property can offer and its location itself. if you target your rents, if you have the right target market and the right amount of rent, we can capture the market, because what we're seeing is that there's a lot more luxury rents. You know, properties are getting very expensive in this area, so we can target our rents down to our, you know, for our young professionals and get it right in that type profile. We should be able to capture it with no problem because of all the jobs that we're adding and the huge amount of growth that's Miami's seen.
Retail analysis. Far below demand. There's just not enough retail space there to rent out. So you can see that construction almost stalled here, and it went a little bit up, but always the demand exceeded what was available to lease. Now the problem we have with that area is that the demographics. The immediate area is suffering from very low income, and there's a disparity. We have tourists that will spend a lot of money on very big luxury items, and we have low income people down to approximately 55% being on poverty level in the immediate area. So it was a concern on our area. But our vacancy rates are the greatest on the overall Miami area than they are in the rest of the United States. So we gotta hope that Miami as a whole has an excellent absorption rate, which it does right now. So the long-term rate of construction over absorption is forecasting to be close to 7. So we still have room to grow. However, based on where we are, we decided to build no more than 40,000 square feet of retail space.
So explain to me what the 0.7 represents.
It's the rate that, if we go to the next slide, I'll explain a little better. Because, okay, this is if we go back to the previous quarter, you see that what was absorbed was actually higher than what was built. So there is a long-term trend of that ratio. How much do we build versus what gets absorbed? This past quarter in 2015, basically nothing was put out, but 110,000 was absorbed, making it almost below zero, because it was really nothing there in terms of construction being put into new units into the market. So, but in the pipeline now, there's a lot waiting to go out, and a lot is under construction. So in long term, we feel that we gotta keep it moderate at 40,000 or less in retail.
And where is that pipeline? I'm looking for that number. How many square feet are in the pipeline?
It's not on our slides, unfortunately, but it's 2.4 million square feet.
Right. That's the entire Miami-Dade?
Yes, in Miami.
I mean,
this chart actually extends out to 2019, so that's all projected.
That's all there.
Yeah, you can see.
Right. And were you able to come up with a sub-market for the retail analysis, or only use Miami-Dade?
In the sub-market, the immediate sub-market, yes, we have it actually in the next slides all the way to our conclusion. Because this is a very, very unusual area. It's like everybody around in the area is the timing, they're waiting for everybody to start construction at the same time. A lot of these developers have delayed construction in this particular area as if they want to start it all together.
So before we go on to the design concept, we did look at office as well. We did market research. We chose not to go with it. There's an issue in Biscayne corridor. There are 3 Class A office buildings, and they're sitting at about 33% vacancy. So they are achieving some high rents, but based on that and based on the amount that's coming online, everybody's going to downtown for their office needs, and the absorption rates downtown are much higher. Now, maybe in a few years after the World Center is built and some other things are built and it connects Biscayne with downtown, maybe then we could look at office. But for right now, those vacancy rates are just too high to consider it. So that's not part of our design.
Well, so you might be asking yourself, what the hell are these guys building? And based on our market analysis and the sub-market in the area, our location downtown, we're doing a mixed-use facility with hotel, retail, and residential apartments for rent. So as you can see here, we've got 505 hotel rooms planned at 35 floors, 500 apartments, 35 floors, retail, approximately 40,000 square feet. And right now, as well as a pay-to-park facility for two reasons. One, because there is parking demand in the area, but two, it also allows us to take a conservative approach, and we didn't want to overbuild for the area. It allows us to hold this half of the parcel off for to develop later if demand.
The main reason for the parking is because we're so close to the entertainment district and the design district, the entertainment district, and with the resort going in right down the street, being across the street from the convention center itself, the demand for parking was there. And it's expensive to build parking spots, but at the end of the day, Miami's not, the parking's going, it's not there.
That's not covered parking. That is not an expensive bill. We didn't pay a dime. That's just literally the
So that's just surface parking.
That's just surface parking. And again, as Nick was saying, that's really an investment or a hedge towards a future development, a phase 2 of this site.
Just using the
Because literally everything up here that's on there is what we felt we could capture of the market rate, and you literally cannot build more than that, or else you it's risking a lot of vacancies.
Right, so we're playing twofold. There is demand for parking. Hopefully, if the parking's profitable, and we can just let it be a parking lot for 15 years. If we have experienced a lot of success with our residential community or retail, and we want to develop further in 5 or 10 years, we can do that as well, or offer it to the next person we sell it to. So 1700 Biscayne Bay is all about community and energy, and capturing that energy from the emerging entertainments and art district, as well as downtown. We're only half a mile away from downtown, so it's essentially downtown, but our location with the Arts and Entertainment District gives us kind of a unique neighborhood feel. So what we've done is we put the retail in the hotel. The retail's on the ground level, maximizing Biscayne Boulevard exposure. Hotel's on top of it. We've got parking located directly behind that, and then we have this commons green area and 2 towers for residential, both clocking in at 250 units apiece.
Could you talk a little bit about where you came up with the 632 square feet for a hotel room?
So you want the real answer?
Well, I mean, I see what you did.
Yeah.
I see you took and you divided the 505 into the 313.
Right, and that was the maximum amount that was allowed in the zoning.
I understand, but obviously you've got hallways, you've got elevators, you've got other common area space. So your hotel room is not going to be anywhere near 632 square feet. It's probably going to be closer to probably about half that. So I'm just kind of curious as to why you did not take that into consideration.
We kicked around a few numbers. A number around 900 floated around for a little while.
900 what? 900 represents what?
Oh, it was like 883 square feet per unit, but that was just from doing comps.
No, we're talking about the hotel.
We're talking about
they're asking the room size of the hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so
I had a number that was around 860 square feet, closer to 900, based off of other hotels, information I found on other hotels, and just doing the quick math on, this many rooms, average square feet.
I noticed that you
3 or 4
did
of those.
use Smith Travel Research, and I don't know what other sources, but do you know what the average size of a hotel room is in this market, or in Miami-Dade, or in the U.S. for that example?
300, 400.
Well, so you'd be lucky if you find a 300 or 400, unless you go to Las Vegas and get a lot of suites. That's why we're asking the question. 632 seems to be an outrageous number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That number, to my understanding and based on the data we looked at, it actually included a lot of common areas and the hallways and everything, because we needed just a straight number to multiply by. That includes also meeting rooms on the ground floor and other stuff.
We understand that, but the problem is you're stating that your average room size is 632 square feet. That is not the average room size. The average room size is probably going to be between 250 to 300 square feet, less than half that. So
this is intro development.
No, but here's what's important about
not capstone.
Here's the issue, and that is, So as you develop your design concept, I'm intrigued by what you're doing. Did you feel compelled that because zoning said it's 319,000 square feet, you have to use all of that square footage?
Well,
We felt like we wanted to maximize the hotel space because it had the greatest opportunity for revenue.
So let's go back to the MUSP. Did the MUSP say 505 or 319, which is the
Both.
governing number?
Yeah, both.
They're both
Both,
numbers.
right.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
and as far as it went to the financial, we did not really calculate the hotels based on square footage. We calculated the hotel based on the keys. So
Correct.
That's
that's
fine.
the numbers on the concept design. So
Okay, and I haven't done the math, she maybe cut me off at the pass on this one, but on the apartments, did you make the same mistake with that? Did you take out the common areas for the apartments, or did you leave it in?
Correct.
You made the same
I
mistake?
made the same mistake.
Okay, so that's gonna be really problematic, because there, your rental income per square foot is obviously going to be completely wrong as a result of that. Okay.
And with the retail, you chose the 40,000 and it's below and less than whatever is allowed, so we don't have the same problem here.
No problem there, and it's actually shared space. Most of it's shared space. So
Shared where?
It's part of the hotel and the apartment structure. So the construction costs associated with the retail would actually be packaged
All right,
into
we'll
the
see when we
other.
get to the pro forma.
Yeah.
All right. Yes,
One
Susan?
question about the apartments and the parking. It says 500 apartments and 250 spaces.
Yeah.
Besides,
Not a big issue. In that area, Miami's changing, parking wise. I mean, we'll give each unit comes, and technically I can charge them $100 a spot, not give anything. I really wanted to.
So wait, let's.
But
you're not
but for
giving
this,
one.
we're gonna give every unit, or sorry, we're gonna give basically, if you want a parking spot, you pay $100 a month for it, you know.
No, they're different questions. So let me take what Susan's
Sorry.
saying. First of all, what does the code require for each apartment?
Zero.
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 That's important to know.
Miami-
All right.
Miami
So there is no parking required for residential. So now you made a decision to do one space per every 2 units or a half a space per unit. Why that particular parking ratio?
Because we had all this pay to park on there, and that was ultimately, it's $20,000 per space, and ultimately,
To build
we
a
don't
garage.
have to, right, and we don't need to, they don't need to park in the building. We, by zoning, we can say that half the units, especially the 1-bedrooms, it's next to a metro stop. We're
Okay.
hoping that, they capture the.
You know, what about the hotel parking? Is there a requirement for a certain number of spaces there?
Correct, there were. So that one was,
it's like 15,
I think it was,
15 larger.
it was 2 to 1 plus every 10 floors required additional.
Cut off
So-
right here.
Okay, you're right, maybe you should pull that screen apart, but, okay, no, I'm kidding, don't worry.
303 parking spots.
303, thank you, I
Yeah,
didn't see
sorry,
that.
it's some of the information is
Yes.
cut off in here.
So as everybody sees this particular technology here, it insists that you use a 4:3 ratio for presentation instead of a 16:9. Okay, we'll keep going. Yes, all right, thank you. Do you have any other question
No,
on that
that's it.
parking? Thank you.
Okay, so, our SWOT analysis, our strengths are that we're located in a major corridor, just 0.3 miles from downtown. So we have the benefit of that traffic as well as, the tourism traffic. We're located, off of key highways, waterways, and metro system. There's a clustering of hotels in the area. The Hilton, Marriott's a block away, and we have some of the country's highest occupancy and room rates. Some of our weaknesses are the hotel would consistently have to generate a steady income that's above the national average, which is 65.2. Currently, we are doing that at 81% occupancy. And then the opportunities, there's more than 16 million domestic and international visitors coming into Miami and Fort Lauderdale airports annually. And we can capture the local market as well through targeted planning, targeted marketing, and there's 190,000 people in the area, and it's a growing population. The threats are the changes in the global economy that directly affect the domestic and international business and leisure travel, such as the recent downturn in the Chinese market. There is a lot of Chinese influx into the area, so that could definitely be a threat in the future if that changes. There's also the possibility of a sudden shift in plans for the proposed projects that are currently on hand.
So that SWOT analysis was essentially just for the hotel.
No, it's actually
I was just wondering whether it's for the entire property.
So, I mean, just to key in a little more for our strengths here, I mean, we are right next door to the intended district again, which I keep referring to that, but I believe there's rumors of a casino being put in across the street. Nothing's been finalized yet, but rumors are rumors, and they've been pushing a while to put in that kind of tourism attraction. So that's going to definitely help out our hotel, and even for multifamily. I mean, the area itself is just growing itself. I mean, the whole area is it's in a booming market.
So for the financials, we listed some assumptions. We said that we could get a 70% loan-to-value loan. We said that we'd have to get at least 1.15 debt service coverage ratio on this project. We said this is a little low, but we said that at least a 5% return for equity investors. And ultimately, the way we look at this project, you said, okay, when we construct the thing, we wanted to backdoor what our purchase price for the land was, right? So we said based on the zoning and what we wanted to build the site plan, we knew what we wanted to build, what was able to be captured. And so now we're going to backdoor, the construction costs of the total development to figure out what we could actually negotiate and afford for the offer price to purchase the land acquisition. So that's kind of the route that we took with this. And did you have something?
Yeah, when we figured out the property's worth $85 million, we kind of was just put off a little bit. So we kind of just wanted to work around that and try to explain this kind of backdoor to kind of figure out what we could, figure out what would work for us, because that number just seemed a little ridiculous right off the bat.
Well, and it just definitely made all the calculations not work.
Well, did you actually
for the scale of our project.
Did you actually look at comps for land? Because when I do the number at 85 into 1.5 million, it's basically $53 per FAR. And so you could look at comps to see what other properties are selling for on that FAR basis.
I did not look at that. I did look at the past history of that land. It sold for $4 million in 2004. Okay, so I mean, other buildings, for instance, the building that was similar was only about on an acre, so for $60 million, constructed, fully leased up, and an asset. So just using that as a mind, that was like less than 2 blocks away. Using that as a comp, $85 million seemed a little bit.
Here's the other thing is that we couldn't fully build the project. So our density is at 2.9 million for zoning, and you saw the second half of the project is a parking lot, because we're literally saying that there's so much other building that's occurring in Miami that if we overbuild this, it's going to sit vacant. We won't take any revenue, and so we wanted to keep our construction costs low, build it in phases, build the first phase, and then see what the market gives us.
So where do you get those construction cost estimates from?
Yeah.
RS means, and those I know are not correct, but
I didn't say they were correct.
Just based on what
construction cost from RS means, and I'm a general contractor, so when I do my estimates, I use RS mean and I multiply it to locations. So there is an adjustment factor that tells you exactly what buildings around the areas were costed for.
Okay, so are these hard construction costs or hard and soft, or?
It's hard and soft. So it's 25% in design, which is the architectural, and okay, let me backtrack. It's 25%. I think it's 25% soft cost and 75% hard cost.
All right, so my next question is, my understanding is, of course, every product cost is different depending on the kind of product that you build. So what kind of hotel, what type of hotel, which market segment?
Motel 6 is what it looks like.
Well, this was for a hotel that was at least.
So Doctor, let me see what you're gonna say, and then I'll go back to you.
Now, the RS means was at least from 10 to 24 stories is what it said. Again, I mean, I found it a little under the thing, but ultimately I had to go with the source.
No, but what I'm asking is,
I would have a better
okay,
idea.
which hotel segment? Is it full service? Is it limited service? Is it Motel 6? Is it luxury like Four Seasons?
And the next section is the concept, we should have put the concept.
So maybe you should tell us
We
the
have the
concept
picture.
before we understand what those construction costs are.
Okay.
Because then that will help inform whether or not we've got it right. So apartments, luxury, mid-range, I heard Alex say, you know, maybe not super luxury, but mid-range, there's around
There's
amenities.
high class B, you know, we were shooting for that. The area is mostly class A, high class B. You're not gonna find anything class C in that, for like this kind of money, at least in the multifamily stuff. The building that I'm referring to a lot, that's over 61 million, is a class B product.
Okay. By the way, anybody know the last time a Class B building was built in Miami? Are there any Class B buildings under construction, proposed or planned?
I don't know, man.
No.
Not that I know of.
Okay, all right. And then what kind of retail are we talking about here?
Again, that's a shopping mall retail price.
So I understand that they're shopping, but for
Okay,
example,
yeah,
is
we're
it,
talking high-end and
that's right,
that's not
lifestyle,
the right price,
convenience,
yes. It's
community
major,
neighborhood?
international, famous brand names.
Okay.
In construction, most of the cost, like, it's based on the building type. So
Mhm.
the finished product, like if you are calling a luxury hotel, it's the back end cost. So as far as it goes to the structure, right now I'm doing a high end luxury townhomes in Las Olas, and the cost per unit is $124 per square feet. So
That's the hard cost.
yeah, that's
Right,
the hard
okay.
cost.
And how many stories are those units?
3 floors.
And is it wood frame construction or
No,
concrete
concrete.
block? Okay, fine. And so what kind of construction do you envision the hotel apartments and retail here to be?
It's gonna be still built.
Okay, but you realize that different type construction, whether it's type A, different class construction,
Yep.
changes of course with height
We
and
adjusted to
complexity.
those
Okay.
factors.
All right. Yes, please.
So, these are the assumptions, and obviously some of our assumptions are based on data that we probably know is not as good, but you know, it's better than not having a source to use. So, based on that, we developed a budget, and so again, you know, we came up with a total development cost of $220.4 million. The real estate taxes, which we could find online through the Miami-Dade tax website, was going to be $835,000. But as you can see on here, these are the type of things that we included. We included, you know, the actual construction cost. This is just, you know, multiplying the dollar per square foot that you saw in the RS means. We estimated architectural engineering. I think it's 5%. Tenant improvements, I think, was at, I wish I pulled that up on my slide, but another, I think it was 3 to 5%. And then these permitting fees and the impact fees we got directly off the schedules from the Miami-Dade County zoning office, and so we were able to get a much better estimate of that. And as you can see, the impact fees are quite significant for all three development projects. We accounted a 1% loan fee for each of for financing the construction loan on all of them. And then we looked at other soft costs, insurance, marketing, legal. Most of the percentages we pulled from the ULI book, you know, 3 to 5 or whatever it was for each of the different types.
All right, this is a very good summary. Now, question, just because I don't remember. So the shell costs are based on the square footage that you had in your concept.
Square foot times.
All right, and the total square footage of this project, did you build it out to the 1.5?
No, it was,
What's the number?
hold on. Let's see here.
And what I'm trying to get at is I'm just trying to get, you know, windage and yardage on what that $220 million represents.
It was close to 1 million square feet.
Okay, so basically we're talking about $220 a square foot for your entire deal. Okay, good.
So for performance, we took the 4 different types, and use it in the potential gross income. This is just strictly multiplying the hotel, the average room day rate versus how many rooms we had times 365 times our vacancy rates. And so actually we have the vacancy broken out here. Other income and total expenses for all three types were from IRM, the IRM data that we got, and we use comps based off that in the Miami-Dade market. And so as you can see, the hotel has a significant amount of other income, and that's from food and other amenity type services that they provide, and so they have a significant amount.
So it is a full-service hotel then?
It would be a full-service hotel.
Because you wouldn't have that income with a limited service or
That's
more
correct.
sex.
That's correct. And so the net operating income, you can see for each of them is set, and then our total NOI was 24 million. We didn't actually, this is the parking here, is the uncovered parking. And the uncovered parking, because the assumption is that the hotel and the apartment would take the covered parking. And so this is for just the uncovered. And you can see you're making $872,000 a year. So I mean, it's not insignificant.
It's not. Yeah, and so
and there's no, we didn't do any construction costs with all those other three developments.
So are you effectively saying that there's no net income from the covered parking? It's absorbed through
Correct.
parking? Yes, okay.
Correct.
We could charge, you know, the apartments 100, you know, per year, but that gets down the line to how much, you know.
That's fine. It's de minimis in the total equation.
Right. So total NOI 24 million. Again, looking at our things, just trying to break down what your development costs are, your hard costs and soft costs. These were, again, the terms of the loan we assumed were 20 years at 6%, at least a 1.15 debt service coverage and a 70% loan to value. So when you look at that, you know, you can use the math that we used this morning, and we can back into it. You have to check both the DCS debt service coverage as well as your loan to value, and we come up with 16.5 million is the maximum amount that we could both cover our debt service coverage, which is about 1.17, so we're really close to the 1.15, and provide a 5% return on equity, you know, after debt service.
So why did you choose 5%?
Because I didn't think anybody would give us equity for less than 5%. I mean, it was honestly one of those things where even 5% is incredibly low. You're talking, those guys are talking 8%, and so ultimately, I didn't. This deal doesn't make sense. Is what it got after. You would have to convince the owner who's trying to sell it for $85 million.
But the deal you're saying makes sense at your 16.5. Let's assume that all the other assumptions are fine.
Correct.
Notwithstanding that. So you would go back in and say you would make an offer at 16.5.
I would make an offer at 16.5 for the entire parcel, or I would make an offer at 16.5 for half the parcel, and I'd say, hey, give me half the parcel and
So in this, by the way, in that NOI, I don't remember, so go back one slide. So $872,000 is not included in your total annual NOI, or it is?
Which one is that?
So, back one slide, then. So the NOI does or does not include the
It does include the
It
parking.
does. So then you better
So
make
then-
an offer for the entire
For the
parcel,
entire
or you can't get that NOI.
Right. Well, but then I would probably offer 15.
Well, then tell me
Well,
what the
15
number is
for
about
half.
NOI.
Something else
Right.
about the property, when we went on the appraiser's website, they had another property right around the corner from it, which was like a much bigger 7 acres that sold for $26 million. So
When though? When?
the other property I was
Yeah, well, when did it sell for 26 million? Remember the date, the year?
It was like 2004.
Okay. I just.
So, yeah, let's wrap it up, because I want to make sure the other groups have their opportunity, or we come to a close here.
Yeah, we're to a closer, and ultimately, again, you're correct. You know, this is an investment property. You know, you're buying this to potentially do a phase 2. You know, and ultimately, maybe someone would be able to put in more equity in order to get to a phase 2 of the project where they could fully develop the site. So, like with the casino, with the World Center.
Is that your final slide?
That's the final slide.
Good, thank you very much.
Questions? No, that's it.
Quick question, who's the current owner, and do you think that had something to do with the high price tag?
Yeah, no, of course it did.
International is the broker.
No, I mean, the current owner, it's tied into a, it's LLC that's actually bring it down to here, actually, I forget the address. It's all kinds of LLCs, it was brought to the They've been sitting there at $4 million in the office, the Burger King, and the other middle thing makes sense to go on to keep paying for it. Yeah, they
Alright, folks,
that while
let's
they
have
had that.
1380
Of
stop
course, they
open
went
up.
out and got this thing up to exactly whenever it was, and tried to flip it for a huge gain.
And then everything was set
And then
up.
it's sitting there for a while.
Because they got done with the road improvements.
Personally, I hate that market. I want nothing to do with that market. I want to be nowhere near that market. Too much going on, too much volatility, there's just too much.
They're waiting it out until it's infill.
There's 70 proposed projects. There's
70
proposed
Well, that's what I'm
projects.
asking, and so they're like, okay, well, maybe it's so walkable, I got to know, I'm trying to understand where to get that from.
2 mile radius.
I know, but this,
I'd have to say
I
2
mean,
mile
it's
radius,
the
but
kind
but
of.
It's not far from the Bacardi building.
I
I believe
understand
so.
all
It's right across, from the conventional center. I forget what it's
So
called.
it's good, I have a whole different perspective.
It's an interesting area. Like all of everything.
Oh, really?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to our sponsor. Gentlemen, let's go.
Thank you for your kind attention. Good afternoon to all. This is 1380 South Ocean Boulevard. My name is Olivia. We're here along with the team, Victor, Stephen, Carol, and Erica. Basically, we had the lovely opportunity and privilege to work on 2 parcels of land located in Pompano Beach, Florida. One of a city that is breaking an era right now. It's a prime beach location on Intercoastal and Ocean Way. Victor is going to, Stephen is going to continue with the site analysis.
So, as you mentioned, this property is located in Pompano Beach, Florida. It's right on the beach, also on the intercoastal. It's made up of 2 parcels. A total of 4.32 acres. The beach side is 2.25 and the intercoastal is 2.07. The current zoning is RM 45 with a high-rise overlay. We'll get into more details when the zoning section comes in. With the high-rise overlay, there is no height restriction, so we have a unique opportunity here to go vertical and create a really nice living experience for our residents. So in order to calculate our site, we came up with a proposed unit mix for both parcels. We did a little bit of analysis on apartments, condos, which we'll get more into detail on the market analysis side, but we determined to go with condos. So we came up with a unit mix that was in line with the market, which we more explained in the market analysis section. So we're aiming at anywhere between 1,750 and 1,800 square feet on average for the condo units. So we came up with this unit mix. With the given zoning, we're only allowed 101 units on the beach parcel. And it's 93 units on the intercoastal side.
So where did you come up with the unit size of 1,400 square feet for a 2-bedroom apartment?
So this was driven by the current market data. So we analyzed the current unit mix in the area, and this is kind of the unit mix.
So the current market data is provided by whom?
We'll detail it in more detail.
Okay, great.
So we ran some building and parking calculations.
Just before we go into that, we did look at other options, not just condos. We did look at the apartment buildings, and based on what the rent available in the area and what we would need for our project, it didn't make sense to do apartments instead of doing condos.
So I'll be interested in hearing the support for lack of it for that case.
So going back, total acres, I said 2.25. Well, the exact net square footage for the site is 98,195 square feet for the beach tower, or the beach parcel. The intercoastal parcel about 90,063 square feet. We laid a site plan out in CAD. So we dimensioned out the site plan, which gave us our basically our building footprint, which you guys have seen the concept plan when we come up. So we assumed a ground floor building area of 28,949 square feet for the beach parcel, and 27,526 square feet for the coastal parcel. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 60% for the current zoning. We're proposing 29% and 30.56% on each of the parcels. Reason being is because we have no height restrictions, as I mentioned. We want to create a unique experience for our residents, so in a high density area, more of a suburban feel. So we want to provide luscious landscaping, which you'll see in the next concept slides. That's the reason for our proposed lot coverage areas. The minimum pervious area allowed, which pervious area is open green space. So the minimum area allowed is 25%. As I mentioned, we want to provide a large open space for our residents. So we're proposing 47.38% on the beach parcel and 51.48% on the intercoastal side. Our residential floors, you'll see on our concept plan how we laid them out. It's a really unique strategy. We were about 10,000 gross square feet. We applied a 20% multiplier on the gross square foot, on the net square footage. So our net rentable in each tower for each floor is 8,000 square feet. So our total net square footage, which we resulted from our unit mix, is 178,750 square feet for the beach parcel and 163,000 for the intercoastal side. As you see, we're doing 22 floors on the beach and 20 floors on the intercoastal. Parking requirements.
Go back one slide. I'm not trying to drag it out. Just go back one slide. So how do you come up with the unit mix?
Unit mix?
Yes.
Well, that was driven from the market data.
I just was curious what you support that particular one.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, so we're just trying to showcase, the square footage wise and what happened.
All right.
Yeah.
So as we all learned, how, I'm sure everybody learned this in the process too, every section is kind of tied into each other. So, as we go, we'll keep explaining, everything ties into each other at the end.
But I'll still reserve the right to ask anyways.
So parking requirements. City of Pompano Beach's current zoning, we require 1.5 spaces per every 1 to 2 bedroom unit, 2 parking spaces for every 3 bedroom or additional bedroom units. So since we have 44 total 1 to 2 bedroom units on the, this is the beach parcel. So our total parking requirement is 180 parking spaces on the beach parcel and 165 on the intercoastal. So we calculated the average square footage parking space. This was given from experience. I met with the pre-construction estimator at our current company, and he gave us the square footage per parking stall. So 320 square feet per parking space. We had required 180, which would essentially will need 2.18 floors, 2.18. So what we will do is we'll create a 3rd floor, and we'll be capped at 3 floors, and we can use the other space in that parking garage for the amenity spaces.
The one thing to point out on the parking space, that's not actually the size of the parking space. That's the total square footage for parking space and the access to the parking space.
Correct.
The actual parking space itself, as a general rule, is about 180 square feet.
Correct. So you need the area to pull out and
right.
area to pull out.
But just make sure that's a point of clarification. Also, on your construction cost, why did you choose to use the net square footage or the net as opposed to the gross square footage whenever you're doing your construction cost? Because I would think you would be using your gross square footage to calculate your construction cost, because obviously you're having to build the entire thing, not just the part that's occupiable.
That's a good point. That was the 187 number was Reese or.
So he's not asking about 187. He's asking about the fact that, see, you have 178,000 square feet on the beach parcel. So let's go back 2 slides. I think this is instructive for everybody. Keep going, sorry, go back. There we go. Okay, so now the residential floors, you're saying actually the gross area of each floor is 10,000 square feet, right? And so if you've got 22 stories and
220,000 square feet.
That's right, inhabitable space, plus corridors, circulation, back of the house. So now if you go forward to your construction cost, I think it's important to note that you need to pay for all of it. So we would argue that you would have to look at the total square footage times your cost to get the total building cost in the building. Though you may only be able to sell or rent the net, but you have to be able to do it right. And it's the same I see on the beach part, on the And these numbers came from where? The cost?
RS means?
Okay.
I think for what your question is, I think maybe we worded this wrong and it should have been just for the parking space, from what I'm saying.
Right, and are these the hard costs, hard and soft?
No, this is just hard costs.
Hard costs, yeah. Okay, so I think it, yeah, I think we, but on our part, we worded this wrong and it should have been parking. Okay.
So our construction costs at the bottom, good question right now, but next one. And we'll get on to the land use regulation.
So we're working with two parcels that are zone RM 45. That is for multifamily use. It could be also used for group homes, a number of combination. But based on the demographics of the area, we looked at using it for condo or apartment, and the project ended up going for that. Now, going down to our project, the parcels we're working with met all of these qualifications for the RM 45.
So I just want to make sure the very most important one is that fourth bullet. The buildings next door are greater than 105, therefore your building would be greater than.
Okay, we met all four
Right.
requirements.
Okay, good.
We met all four requirements, and this made it so attractive for developers.
All right.
Oh, and just to note, on this map where our parcels are located, it's right here, which is right on the edge, on the border.
With a major highway coming down.
Right, so it's right, is adjacent to Oakland Park, which is really interesting location where it's at. So it's like right here, two parcels.
So we have,
I think it's good because it gives access to Pompano Beach and then another
road frontage on both
major
sides.
city.
20 minutes.
And it wouldn't cost us anything to separate, have two uses. You know, we could have, yeah. Okay, the standard use, again, we don't have to do anything zoning wise. What we're proposing is already P permitted, so that's fine. And we have the code that's supported. And in the environment with the building, it's very regulatory friendly. Okay, okay, because of the plans that would have to prepare to go along with our application would be a drainage mitigation plan, stormwater pollution, the traffic, and this is big, and Broward County that's specifically looking at that, and environmental, the wetlands. I would say the project would benefit from making a donation to this. You know, when you're developing and you're impacting the different costs and so forth, that was just to sweeten the pot.
Is that a requirement?
No, I said that the project would benefit.
How would it benefit?
In terms of the different costs that we're going to encounter and additional regulations and meeting, it's where we're putting something supporting the area and so forth, being sensitive for the growth in the area.
That kind of makes you feel good, or?
Everything that we're doing in terms of not using the maximum allowed space,
right.
we're meeting with them and we're doing everything to be very cooperative. You see what I'm saying? We're not.
Okay.
There's no size on it, just even a token contribution.
You know how much that would cost?
It's a token contribution, it's not required.
I understand, but every token adds up to something real.
Okay. The benefit is not required, it wasn't calculated.
Because one of the things I think Mark is maybe trying to get at is, chances are you are going to be subjected to all sorts of exactions from the local government. Those exactions, to a certain extent, you can almost consider them to be blackmail. To the point of, if you want to get the project done, you're going to have to do this and pay for this and contribute to this and those sorts of things. And so it's one of those sort of things that you probably don't want to go into a situation of offering to do all these other things unless they're really asking you to do them.
And that was part of the reason why the maximum amount we're able to build on it, the footprint, we tried not to max out. We were being a very community-friendly builder.
Okay, so but let's make one point clear, and I think it's good for everybody. When you are the developer and here you're trying to acquire the parcel, or you're going to figure out what the right pricing is, you're going to maximize your ability to build and pay as little as you can.
Okay.
Now, when you go into a community, you're going to try to maximize what you can build, and you're going to hold back, in your pocket something that you might give because they're gonna say, gimme, 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 and then you say, I can do this, and then I can do that. And so you're playing a negotiation, and while this might be your end product, I certainly wouldn't start with my, basically you're showing all your cards on the table.
Okay, the process. The Florida DOT, because any driveway you're doing, especially if that's gonna be butting up to a major freeway, you need to have their input, and the Environmental Protection Agency, that's a part of the initial application. You need to have those ready along with the traffic input. Now, that's part of your application. And how they have theirs is that you clear that with the planning and zoning and get this part taken care of before it's fed to building. Because you need a stamp of approval from FEPA before building and permitting looks at what you're proposing to do. Now, in terms of the Broward County looking at it, they have, all their meetings are public hearings. So we, based on how we walked in their meetings, looking at 3 to 4 weeks. And then simultaneously, all the agencies will get notice of your application, but they won't necessarily react to it until you've gotten that stamp, and then building and inspection will start working on it.
So what's the total timeline? I see you highlighted 3 to 4 here, 3 weeks there, 60 days down below. So what's the total?
The
time
next
to
slide
build?
showed it, touch it for me please. It got left off. We're looking at almost 9, in terms of weeks, 3 and 4, 7, well, 10 weeks or more before you start getting some feedback.
Okay, all right, before you get feedback, because what's the time, you've got the zoning in place, but what you're really doing is getting the approval for a particular development.
Right.
And how long do you think it would take on this site?
I mean, it may take about like 3 to 6 months. It really ranges on how our connection.
In your dreams?
For what? For getting permitted?
Probably, yeah.
I mean,
I would just double that number just because
Okay.
it just takes time. And so, in any deal as we're looking at, it's a great thing to put up what the requirements are. And then you heard what Stiles said, government, government, government. It's not that government is always bad, but it's really resistant to change. And just because it says they'll meet with you and get it done in 3 to 4 weeks or this or that, or 3 to 4 months.
Our agenda is full for the next 3 months, so we're gonna have to forestall it for
That's
3
right.
months before you
What
get
do
your first
put on the
hearing.
calendar?
Yeah.
Because Pompano Beach has a department that specializes in what your project is, what your project is, we can help you get it through.
I'm sure they do.
I mean, I also wouldn't say that it's impossible to get this for 6 months, because as they stated earlier, one of the development that they had in Charlotte, they did it in 6 months. But that's because Charlotte's very
That's
pro-development.
pro-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's impossible. you know?
I'm just asking, I just want to see if that's.
Because we tried to talk to the planning department, we interviewed somebody, Kelly, in the planning department, and that's why when the feedback I got from talking to the
Good.
different, that they were regulatory friendly.
Yeah,
But it's good to know we make allowance for more.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is my part. So after discussing the site plan and regulatory, we wanted to do some market analysis on the area and see, what are the demographics. Over here, we can see the picture depicting of where Pompano Beach is, and for the demographic analysis, we chose to identify Pompano Beach as our primary market, and then the 3 sub-markets of Oakland, Fort Lauderdale, and Deerfield Beach, because they have the similar characteristics of being on the East Coast, being on the beach, and whatnot. So we chose, collecting all this data from the U.S. Census, from city data, quick facts and whatnot. So I created this chart depicting it. And one of the things that I identified in the previous slide of the zoning, since we're right on the edge with Oakland Park, knowing the demographics of Pompano Beach and Oakland, we can probably capture those individuals that may live in Oakland Park, that may see our development and want to go there to go live, because not everyone lives and works, in the same county or city. So some key things that I wanted to identify here in our demographics is that Pompano Beach has the highest percentage of individuals living in multi-unit structures compared to the other 3 submarkets. That's 64.3, which tells us that Pompano Beach is an area where people want to live in mostly buildings, no single-family homes, and whatnot. Another thing.
And why do you think that is?
Why do I think? Oh, well, based off of here, where we go? It has a high percentage of the older populations. So I would assume that they would want to live in apartment, multi-structured units.
Our interview basically is understood that it's all end users that are migrating to the area, all second, third home buyers who are settled, who still want to have the high-end luxury of life, but still want to be consistent on their square footage and being next to the bay and coastal and whatnot.
And looking at our demographics also, the income level wasn't particularly high. I think it's individuals who we're targeting who end up, or end users, we're moving down to second homes or investment properties. We anticipate that quite a few will be investment properties and so forth. It's not necessarily the average person living in Pompano Beach, making their 60 or smaller or so, will be buying these properties. And that's the trend they're seeing in parts of
The relocation is actually coming from Brazil and Canada, Canada.
Now that we've mentioned the income aspect of here, as we can identify here, the median household income is $40,000 compared to the other 3. It fares in between the other 2 submarkets, but with the $40,000, you can already tell in your minds what type of rental rates Pompano Beach would be charging based off of that.
Okay, let's do a timeout. So Olivia just mentioned target market may be Latin American, maybe Canadians, second home, and so this median household income is for people who live full time.
Right.
So which is your market? Who's your target?
Well, I'll go first. Basically, here are some factors. It's going to be contingent on both sectors, only because you have the economy boosting now in Pompano with a call center that's being relocated here from Brazil, as well as I think there's several other job opportunities being opened. The second factor, which is with the people who are settled, those are the residents who are already there, who have, I guess, outgrew their home and want to relocate to something new, want to have a new investment in their lives. So that's the clientele that we feel will be balanced to both.
Let me add something also. Because when we looked at the figures and we discussed, what the restated was saying is available for rental in this area was like $2 or more below what we needed. So we're looking at the income here just to see what's here, but our target people are coming from outside of the area. It's not from within the area.
Which is going to change the whole concept of Pompano Beach.
Right. And then to add on from what your question was about the 2 different types of demographics based on the median area income, if we go over here, which breaks down the percentage of the population by income, here we can see that Pompano Beach, compared to the direct adjacent 2 submarkets, has the higher population of income above $150,000 per year of people who actually live in Pompano Beach and are contributing to the economy and whatnot. So they can also be those people could also be those targeted for our development, which we'll break down in how we conclude it.
And where do you think they live in Pompano Beach? Not just a rhetorical question, but the income cohort that's over 150. Where do you think they live?
I would honestly assume that they live on the beach, because the beach is obviously the luxury, the most accessible
so that's your
area.
very immediate sub market.
Right. Another thing that I wanted to highlight here is the poverty rate. Where is that?
What are you highlighting?
Oh, it's the next one. No, it is on there. I have bad eyes. Okay, here, persons in poverty rate. We can see that Pompano Beach has the highest out of the 4 submarkets. which tells us obviously maybe there may be a need for affordable housing and whatnot for that area. What else?
But you are on the beach.
Right.
But we are on the beach,
Do you think there are
right?
any affordable housing units on A1A?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So what you're trying to do is force those people who cannot afford these houses out of the community and allow the ones who could afford in the community.
The market is driving it that way.
The market will drive it anyway. Okay.
And then over here, if we look at, I see here. There might be the reason if we see the percentage of incomes, let's see, over 60 to 100 from Fort Lauderdale to Pompano Beach. That might a reason for being that might be. The reason for that might be that since Pompano Beach has a higher percentage of people over 65 and older, since they're obviously retirees, they're not really contributing to the income factor. That might be a reason.
Okay, so I'm looking at the timing, and I hope everybody
I'm talking too much.
sees what we're doing, and I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. And so you'll have to speed up the presentation because I want to be respectful of the two others.
Okay, all right, sorry,
and,
I'll try
and hope that it looks as though we may have to stay a little bit after 5, maybe closer to 5:30. I hope everybody can do so. I'm not requiring you to, but I want to wrap up the class properly and see if we can get that.
Sorry.
So please move forward.
I'll try to go fast. Okay, so here are some graphs that we collected from REE's data. And here, this is a pipeline, a broken down continuation of our 4 submarkets of Deerfield Beach, Pompano, Oakland, and Fort Lauderdale. We can see that Fort Lauderdale has been within the county of Broward, has been the leading indicator of where the direction of Broward County wants to go in producing so many new inventory units in the market. As you can see here, there has not been anything in Pompano Beach for condos, apartment, which for us as developer is good because that's the beginning. That's the beginning cycle for us to try to dive in and be incorporated within that. And then within here, you can see that the breakdown of condos, apartments, and other, it's more favorable to have apartments than condominiums. I mean, well, yeah, here, apartment for condominiums. But that's basically, that can't really associate itself with Pompano Beach since there really hasn't been any activity in Pompano Beach. And then over here we have our vacancy rate for Pompano Beach is the lowest out of all within a 10 building inventory. Yeah, so I'm just trying to speed it up, sorry. Here, continuation of the market analysis for REES. Here, it gives us a breakdown of the apartments vacancy. Here, obviously, we have a higher vacancy for a higher charge, which can correlate with the income of individuals, which was the median of 40,000. And then here, asking rents we can see here is 145, 171, 116. However, in our opinion, this information is biased because it isn't depicting the beach site. The beach site is a very, very important factor, so this is the average of Pompano Beach
So let me just
altogether.
ask a question. Are you going to be proposing rentals or for sale products?
At the end, for sale, but we're going to conclude how we got there. Yeah. And then here are some rental growth rates from our 4 submarkets. Obviously here you can see Pompano Beach has increased 2.39, but that doesn't really do anything because you're getting 144. And obviously we would expect Fort Lauderdale to have the highest because they're the ones producing more inventory of more Class A and luxury into the market. And then we can skip this. That's it. So the next thing we did, using Trulia, we wanted to see what was out there right now in the market. And some of the things, let me see. Which one is it? Okay, so on this graph right here, it depicts the apartment rentals that are right on the beach. We chose to